This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be on a spaceship and we're going to be trying to save patients. We're going to be trying to treat them. Some of us are doing it alone, some of us are doing it together. Today we're talking about Flatline, a Fuse Aftershock game from Renegade Game Studios. It's for 1 to 5 players, and in this game it's a real-time cooperative game. Dice rolling, lots of decisions to make, but under the crunch of the clock. So let's take a look. The goal of the game is to treat all of the patients that are face up at the beginning of the game and all of the ones that are face down at the beginning of the game and get all those treated before time runs out. Each round of Flatline is broken up into several phases that the Chief Medical Officer will help us go through, left to right on the top, then here, and then left to right on the bottom. The first one here is called Lose Power. Now this simulates losing power on the spaceship that we're on. So each time this comes up, you'll take the farthest left power cube and you'll remove it from the game. And this will actually tell us how many emergency cards are going to come out, which is the next phase. So this shows us 5. And this shows us again that second phase, which is adding emergencies. Since the power meter showed 5 emergencies, we're going to draw 5 emergencies and place them out. If the tab at the top is blue, you can see the bottom actually attaches here, blue to blue, then you place it in the farthest left row here. If when pulling out an emergency, it has an orange tab, it gets added to the stat area, the orange side of the board. Notice the bottom of this orange, they line up to these lines and it's an orange tab. These are dire emergencies that need to be taken care of quickly or else they could possibly make you lose the game. More about that later. The next phase is rolling the emergency white dice. Once the dice are rolled, you'll place it on the corresponding number and then activate any emergencies that are above it from left to right. So this has a die 2, we would activate this, which are typically most of the times bad, and then we would activate that. The next phase is the planning phase, which is when we're going to talk about what we're going to do. Now this phase has an unlimited time. Everyone's talking about what they think they're going to want to do as a team this round. However, if you want to place a timer, you can. The next phase is the countdown phase, and it's 1 minute long. You'll use a timer for 1 minute, and the round ends either at the end of 1 minute or when the last player places their last dice, whichever comes first. Now the 1 minute timer starts as soon as everyone gets ready to roll their dice. You roll your dice only once, and then the 1 minute starts immediately, and then you start talking and figure out where the dice are going to go. There's 3 major things that you could possibly try to do here. One thing you can do together is try to clear emergencies, and you do so by placing the right dice and the right number of dice on specific cards. And it can be with just one player or multiple players unless it says otherwise. This just needs 2 yellow stethoscopes, so the black dice player places it here and the purple dice place it there. They're going to be able to clear that at the end of the round. In any part of the board of the game, whenever a dice is placed, you can never pick it up. Once it's placed, it's done. Now if you see this means every player, because it's red and it has a bunch of different people there. So each player that's playing has to play a die of any type like that in order to clear this card, where some cards say they have to be equal. The other thing you can do is try to work on patience. Now these are the 4 that are face up on the board. I'm going to show you these off the board just so you can see a little bit more of the iconography all together. So anywhere you see a single person means only one player has to be the one to place everything that's there. So for example, one player would have to put both the white and the yellow here in order to complete this row. If you see multiple single people on the same line, this means that only one player can play one of them and a different single player has to play everything that's in between that line. If you see this orange one that has 2 people in focus and 1 out of focus, this means that you have to have at least 2 people, but it can be more. So let's say, for example, the black player goes like this, the gray player goes like that. That's at least 2 people, and that's fine. And again, if you see the red with 4 different heads, this means every player has to play, and if they're small ever in these iconographies, this means that this player has to do this or this. So each player has to play either a white or a green in order to finish that line. The last of the three things that you're trying to do is finish recharging stations. There's 2 of them on the board, and they each have 6 icons. The first 3 always have to be done regardless of the amount of players. If this says 3+, which means if you're playing with 3 or more players, this also has to get done in addition to the top row. 4+ players, these 2 plus these, and if 5 players, all of them have to get done in order to activate this recharging station. And it does not matter how many people do this. Now you do just roll once at the beginning of the phase, but you can do re-rolls. And how you do that is you take one of your dice and you place them in this area here. Then you can re-roll any of the dice that you have not placed onto the board yet. So I would re-roll these, and let's say, ooh, I can't use either of these. I'll place this here. I'll re-roll this, and let's say, oh great, I can use that. Now you can do this all the way up. If you have 1 to 3 players, you can put up to 5 different dice here, and then up to 4. If 4 players, you can place up to here, and 5 players, you could just place up to here. So with more players, there's less rerolls that can happen, which helps scale the game. Now that phase does continue until either the 1 minute is over or all the dice are placed. Next, we're going to go to the resolve phase. First, we're going to resolve all of the emergency cards. So we're going to first start with the orange stat area. You're going to look at every card that's there. If it was not finished or done correctly, like in this case, nobody placed a die, this is going to flip over to the red side and then be placed into the red side of the board. And that gets placed just like this. The second one would go here, third and fourth. If you're playing with 3 to 5 players and the third one comes, the game ends. Also, if you're playing with 1 or 2 players and you get 4 of them, the game ends. That's one of the main ways you will lose the game. However, if you did it correctly, you would take the dice off and you would place it on the green side of the board. Notice this one is green. We actually would slide it right under like this so the green lines up, and this will give us an ability that we can trigger any time throughout the game. For example, this says all players can change 1 die to any side. We could all decide to do it, and then this card would then get discarded. Now for the blue emergency cards, if they're done, these dice would just be put off to the side for a moment, and this card would go to the discard pile, freeing up the slot. If there's a card on top of one, this one would get finished and put in the discard pile, and this would just slide right down like that. Next, we're going to resolve the patient cards. Now, starting with the patient that has the blue diamond facing them, you will resolve this patient. To resolve the patient, you're going to look at each line. If it fully is completed per the rules, these dice can come off and you can actually put a clear tile on it just like this. This patient already has some clear tiles because in previous rounds different lines were cleared. Now in this case, if these 2 dice are here, it was not finished, nothing happens, both these dice come off, and next round you have to start from scratch. But let's say this actually was completed and someone was able to, between these 2 or more people, were able to complete this. Well, this would then be completed, which means this entire patient has been treated, and then we look at what's going to happen with this patient. Now where this is tells us. So if it's on a green bottom, that's good. That means something good is going to happen. If it's red, something bad happens. Like for example, essentially here you would lose your ability to reroll for that round. Then we're going to resolve both charging stations. We'll look at each of them. If it has been completed, you'll be able to take this power cube, and I'll show what you do with it in just a moment. If it's almost completed but not, then nothing happens. You would place that green power cube in the furthest right empty square like this. Essentially this gives you more time because once all of these have been lifted off, the one with the skull, then you immediately end the game and have lost. And the last phase of the round is turning the life support dial. Simply you just turn this so the blue diamond is on the number 1 of the next patient. And as you see, what happens is this round now, it's at number 2. After the next round, it will go number 3, and after the next round, it will go number 4. So it's just going from 1, 2, 3, 4 on each patient each round. Now the game will obviously either end in victory or defeat in this cooperative game, and you can lose in one of 2 ways. One is if the last green power cube at any point is removed, you automatically lose. Or if in a 3 to 5 player game, you have 3 cards on the red X side, you lose. Or in a 1 to 2 player game if all 4 cards are there. And you win if you did not run on the time as just shown. Now if you haven't lost by one of those 2 ways I just shown, and you're able to complete the last patient and treat it, you then win. But keep in mind that you start with 4 of them face up, and you'll have a stack of face down ones. You must be able to put all those on the board and then treat all of them that are on the board as well. All right, well, there is Flatline. Now, I was a big fan of the original game in this universe called Fuse. It was a real-time cooperative game, dice rolling, same sort of universe. and that game was a ton of fun, made a lot of my top lists, and still to this day I still really enjoy that game. And that game was really more like a family level game, a family game of real-time cooperative nature, where this game picks up where that one left off. It takes in the same universe, you've got it's very time specific, it's real time, it's got that same pressure, but this game really takes that to the next level. I would say this is basically the gamer version of Fuse, if you will, where the family section is where you'd find the Fuse game. This would be more in the gamer connoisseurs section, because there's definitely a lot going on here. By the way, Kane Klenko, my gosh, can that guy do anything wrong now? Between them and Renegade partnering together for a lot of games, Covert was my game of the year last year. He did the original Fuse, he's got this guy's on a roll. This game, there's a lot of things I liked about it. The production value, oh my gosh, this box is like 7 pounds when it shows up. It has a ton of cardboard. The dice, the custom dice are beautiful. There's different colors for each of the players, but they're carved out nice, they're painted nice. Very good top-notch quality here by Renegade, which they're becoming well known for because everything they've been producing is excellent. So from the production standpoint, it's awesome. Now, the game itself, real-time. This is a positive for me because I like real-time games. I like stress, I like timers, I like cooperativeness. And so this really fits in there, and I really like that aspect of this because it does it really well. You got 1 minute to do this, but you're planning beforehand, then you're rolling the dice, and then the clock is on. So I really like this. If you don't like real-time games in general, this is not going to make you like the real-time genre. It does what it does very well. If you don't like Escape of the Curse of the Temple or the original Fuse or anything where there's a clock, this game's not going to make you like that, I think. But if you do like that genre, this game is excellent. It takes it to the next level. I think it scales well with the different player counts, meaning, and with that is adjustability of the difficulty. You can change on any player count, you can adjust the difficulty level, but if you stood on the same level and up or down the player count, it feels very much the same difficulty level on the same setting. So I think it scales well in that regard, where some co-op games tend to be easier or harder with different player counts. This is about the same as long as you have that sliding scale at the same spot. But you can adjust it, which I also like. If you begin to get, put it on easy when you're just beginning, and then ratchet it up, gives you a lot more playability. Even the solo game works well. So some solo gamers, if you're out there, this is excellent solo, like many co-op games are. Now, I like it with less players because I think it's a little less chaotic during the plan. Now, you can plan what you're going to do in the team with 5 people, but when you roll the dice, man, it's all chaos. So, which some people like. I didn't dislike it. I just like it with a little bit less players because it's a little less chaotic when you're placing the dice. And that pretty much brings me to the only 2 downsides I'd say about the game. Number 1 is this was a design decision, which I'm sure to make the game balanced, but once you place a die, you cannot pick it up again. I think with a certain amount of player count or higher, maybe this should have been alleviated where 4 or 5 players, if you put down a die, you can pick it up somewhere else, because man, there's so much going on, and there's so many times that you end up messing yourselves over because you put a dice down and you want to be able to allocate it somewhere else and you can't. Again, I'd be probably breaking the game, Kane would tell me, with this suggestion, but it's just something I didn't felt was quite right with so many players, a little bit less forgiving in that regard. But again, just a minor quibble there. The other one is the iconography. It's not bad, but it does have a learning curve to figure out what the cards do, and in a real-time game, that's why this is tough. Because at the beginning of the game, you can say what all these icons mean on the patients. You can say, hey, this is 1 player, this is everyone has to do one, this is more than 1. But when it comes down to it in your first game or 2, when you're playing with new people, you're going to be explaining this, and then when you roll the dice and you're on that minute clock, they're going to be asking it again. And it's not hard to figure out. I think the iconography is good, but there is going to be that learning curve, so just be aware of that. So it does have that learning curve, which is harder with real-time games in general. Not for this game specifically, for all real-time games that have iconography. This has a lot of it. There's a lot of little things going on, but all together, I got to say, if you like real-time, you like cooperative, and you like Fuse, or you like any of those types of things, and you wanted a beefier, meatier, more gamery type game, this is an excellent version of that, and that's Flatline.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.